The year is 1944. The world is at war, and deep in the wild heart of Montana, the Dutton family is facing a battle of their own, one that could change the course of their legacy forever. A leaked secret has just surfaced, revealing the explosive first episode of Yellowstone, 1944. And it's far more intense than anyone expected. This isn't just another chapter in the Dutton saga. It's a storm waiting to erupt. Family loyalty will be tested. Betrayals will cut deeper than bullets. And the land they fought so hard to protect? It might not be theirs much longer. This is the beginning of the most dangerous fight in the Dutton family's history, and no one is safe. Yellowstone, 1944. Episode 1 opens not with action, but with silence. A chilling, almost peaceful silence that exists just before everything falls apart. The Dutton Ranch looks the same. Wide skies, proud cattle, and strong family lines. But something is different. The year is 1944. The war has stretched across every ocean and continent, and now its shadow has reached Montana. While young men march off to fight overseas, the battle for the Yellowstone Ranch has already begun right here at home. John Dutton II, once a boy trying to find his place in 1923, is now a man, shaped by responsibility. Episode 1 shows him stepping up, not because he wants to, but because he has no other choice. His father, Jacob Dutton, still holds a presence, but time has weakened his grip. Age, war, and change are pulling at the seams of everything the Duttons have built. John finds himself trapped between his father's old ways and a new world that doesn't play by the same rules. The war has changed the rules of the game. Resources are limited. Ranch hands are disappearing, drafted or dead. The economy is crumbling under ration books and wartime demands. But the real threat isn't just the war, it's the people using it as cover. Episode 1 teases something dark growing in the shadows. Outsiders with polished shoes and fake smiles. Men with briefcases instead of rifles. They're not coming to take the land by force. They're planning to buy it out from under the Duttons. Quietly, legally, ruthlessly. These aren't obvious enemies. There are no open attacks, no gunfights on horseback. Instead, we hear whispers, see letters exchanged, deals made in smoke-filled rooms, miles away. The Dutton family doesn't even know they're under attack yet, but viewers do, and that's where the tension builds. This is a slow burn with dangerous heat, where silence says more than any shout could. At the center of it all is John Dutton II. His struggle is more than physical. It's emotional, moral, and deeply personal. He's expected to lead, but even he doesn't know what kind of leader he wants to be. Episode 1 shows him standing in fields that once felt like home, now questioning if this land is still worth the cost. The ghosts of war, of family, of legacy, they're all crowding around him, waiting for him to choose. Fight like his father, or adapt and risk losing who he is. And then comes Evelyn Dutton, John's cousin, smart, sharp, and ambitious. She's not interested in waiting for men to save the family. She sees the threat coming and wants to face it head-on. But her way is different, more ruthless, more strategic. Episode 1 introduces her as a power player who's not afraid to challenge tradition, or even John himself. You can feel the friction between them from their very first scene. It's not just about the ranch, it's about who gets to control the future of it. By the end of the first section of Episode 1, the ranch is still standing. The cattle still roam. The family still sits around the table. But the cracks are forming. You can feel them, thin and quiet for now. There's no explosion, no chaos, just a rising tension in every word spoken, every glance exchanged. The feeling that something is about to break. And when it does, the Duttons won't just be fighting to protect their land, they'll be fighting to survive each other. As Yellowstone, 1944. Episode 1 continues, the story deepens, and so does the danger. By now it's clear, this is not a battle fought with fists or rifles. It's a different kind of war, one fought with contracts, whispers, and well-dressed men hiding knives behind their smiles. And worst of all, some of those enemies are already inside the gates of the Yellowstone Ranch. This section of the episode pulls the curtain back on a terrifying truth. The war isn't just happening overseas, it's happening here, on American soil, in boardrooms, in courtrooms, and inside the Dutton family's own home. The battlefield may not look like Normandy or the Pacific, but the stakes feel just as high, maybe even higher. We see John Dutton II trying to keep everything together. On the outside, he wears the face of a leader, calm in control, determined. But inside, he's unraveling. Every decision weighs on him. Every choice feels like the wrong one. And the pressure only grows as outside threats start creeping closer. One of those threats comes dressed as a friend, Walter Blackwell. He enters the episode with charm, a handshake, and a story from his time in the military. He's calm, polite, even helpful, a veteran looking for a fresh start. But as the minutes pass, you start to feel something's off, something lurking beneath his polished exterior. He watches too closely, asks too many questions. He says the right things, but they land a little too perfectly. And then you realize Walter Blackwell didn't stumble onto the Yellowstone ranch. He came with a purpose. Blackwell is a man with connections, powerful ones. He's not here to raise cattle. He's here to study the Duttons, find their weaknesses, and exploit them. He knows the land is valuable, and he knows wartime chaos means opportunity for people like him. He's not pointing a gun, but what he's doing might be even more dangerous. He's playing the long game, quiet, strategic, deadly. But the true genius of episode 1 is how it blends external threats with internal ones. Because while Blackwell works from the outside, cracks are forming inside the Dutton family. Family members begin to doubt each other. Old resentments bubble to the surface. And for the first time, we see something more terrifying than any outside enemy, betrayal from within. There are whispers behind closed doors, arguments not meant to be heard. Ranch hands, loyal for years, suddenly acting differently, more cautious, more secretive. Some of them are tired of struggling, tired of sacrificing, tired of the Dutton name coming before everything else. And slowly it becomes clear. Not everyone wants to fight for the ranch. Some would rather cash out. These small betrayals are like sparks in dry grass. Quiet at first, but dangerously flammable. We hear snippets of deals being made, whispers about selling off parcels of land, promises of quick money, and every whisper feels like a dagger in John Dutton II's back. But he can't show weakness. He knows that if he wavers, even for a second, the entire family legacy could collapse. The pressure builds. The silence between family members grows louder than any argument. The weight of tradition, war, and survival presses down on him until even the air around him feels thin. And all the while, Evelyn Dutton is watching. She's sharp enough to see the fault lines before anyone else. And she's not just watching, she's planning. She believes the old ways aren't working, that John is too loyal, too soft. She wants to protect the ranch, but in her own way, a colder way, one that could save the Dutton name or destroy it. What makes this part of the episode so powerful is the atmosphere. There are no massive explosions, no running gunfights, just quiet tension, controlled chaos. The kind that makes your skin crawl because you know something is coming. You just don't know when. The Dutton Ranch is still standing, but the foundation is starting to rot. And what's worse, most of the family can't even see it yet. As episode 1 moves toward its midpoint, one thing becomes terrifyingly clear. The Duttons aren't just fighting for their land. They're fighting to hold on to each other, and that battle might be the hardest one of all. One feels it more than John Dutton II. John is trying to hold the line, but how do you lead a family when every member is slowly drifting in a different direction? One brother thinks the war is an excuse to sell off land. A cousin whispers about bringing in outsiders to modernize the ranch. And worst of all, John starts to suspect that someone close to him is leaking information, someone feeding intel to Walter Blackwell. It's the ultimate betrayal, and it sends him spiraling into a storm of paranoia and self-doubt. Episode 1 doesn't give us a clear answer just yet, but it drops enough clues to make you second-guess everyone. A knowing glance here, a hushed conversation there, and suddenly every character feels like a suspect. The ranch is still standing. But trust, that's what's really in short supply. Amid this rising tension, we get our first real look at the emotional toll the war has taken on Spencer Dutton. He returns to the screen haunted. The once proud and adventurous man from 1923 is now a shadow of himself. His eyes carry the weight of grief, of battles lost, both on the front lines and in his personal life. The loss of his wife, Alex, has left him hollow. And when he arrives back at the ranch, he's not welcomed with open arms. Instead, he's met with uncomfortable silence. Half the family sees him as a broken man. The other half sees him as a threat to John's leadership. Spencer doesn't say much in this episode, but when he does, his words hit hard. There's bitterness in his voice, regret, and something darker. He doesn't trust the new faces on the ranch, especially not Blackwell, and he's not afraid to say it, but John doesn't want to hear it. In fact, their first conversation in years ends in a bitter argument. Spencer accuses John of being too proud, too blind to the dangers around them. John fires back, saying Spencer abandoned the family when they needed him most. It's a brutal scene. Two brothers, both grieving, both angry, both unable to reach each other. That moment tells you everything you need to know about where this story's heading. This is not just a family trying to protect their land. This is a family at war with itself. And every fracture, every wound, every unspoken resentment is now being dragged into the light. Even Margaret, John's wife, can feel it. Margaret was once the calm in the storm, the one who kept the family grounded, but not anymore. In this episode, we see her begin to question everything. Is the ranch really worth all this pain? The sacrifices? The silence? She's tired. Tired of war. Tired of pretending. And she begins to wonder if holding on to this legacy is worth losing the people she loves most. It's in her quiet moments, the ones where she's alone, reading a letter from a friend who lost her husband to the war, that we see the emotional heart of Yellowstone 1944. Because this show isn't just about power struggles. It's about the cost of survival, the toll it takes on your soul. Back outside the family walls, the pressure continues to mount. Walter Blackwell's influence grows more dangerous with each scene. He's meeting with local officials, courting bankers, making quiet moves behind the Duttons' backs. He's not just here to buy land. He's here to break the family from within, and he's using the war to do it. He's offering loans they'll never be able to pay back, sowing distrust, buying up small neighboring ranches, and boxing them in. And the worst part? No one sees it coming, or maybe they do, and they're just too afraid to admit it. By the end of this section, a harsh reality sets in. The Duttons are no longer in control, not of the land, not of their future, and definitely not of each other. The storm is no longer on the horizon. It's here, and the choices they make in the next few episodes will decide whether the Yellowstone Ranch survives or burns to the ground. The calm before the storm is officially over. In this part of Yellowstone 1944, Episode 1, the tension that's been simmering finally explodes. Secrets aren't just hinted at anymore. They're exposed. Relationships shatter. Loyalties flip. And the line between family and enemy begins to blur in the most dangerous way. We pick up with John Dutton II, who is now fully aware that his grip on the ranch is slipping. He's no longer the confident leader we saw at the start. He's restless, suspicious, and increasingly isolated. But what truly rattles him is the discovery of if you'd like, I can continue from here or help you shape this into a scene-by-scene breakdown or voiceover draft. Want to keep going? Something small, almost forgotten, is tucked inside a ledger. It's a land deed, and it's been altered. Someone is quietly selling off small parcels of Yellowstone land. Not outright, not in one big deal, but piece by piece, through fake buyers and shell names, a slow bleed, and it all leads back to someone within the ranch. John's worst fear has come true. The betrayal isn't coming, it's already here, but he doesn't know who to confront. Is it Evelyn, whose sharp mind and ambition have been quietly growing more dangerous? She's been talking to local businessmen, having meetings John was never invited to. She says it's for the good of the ranch, that they need to evolve, but John knows better. She's not trying to preserve Yellowstone, she's trying to reshape it in her own image. Or is it someone closer, one of the hands, a cousin, maybe even Spencer, who still carries resentment like a second skin? His recent return and distant behavior haven't gone unnoticed. And though he's emotionally wrecked, there's something unsettling about how he watches everything, like he's waiting for the right moment to act. This is where the paranoia fully kicks in. And the episode does a masterful job of making you feel it too. Every conversation feels like a test. Every look, a potential threat. You start to realize that in Yellowstone 1944, it's not the gunfights you should fear. It's the dinners, the family meetings, the polite handshakes that hide poisoned intentions. Walter Blackwell, meanwhile, is no longer operating in the shadows. He makes his move, and it's bold. He approaches John with an offer, a full buyout, one that would clear the family's mounting debt, give them enough to live comfortably, and end the daily battle for survival. But John doesn't even blink. He turns it down, and in doing so, declares war. Blackwell doesn't take the rejection personally. He smiles, shakes John's hand, and says, "I'll wait." That one moment, calm, measured, almost friendly, is one of the most chilling in the episode, because you know what he means. He'll wait until the Duttons collapse under the weight of their own secrets, until someone inside sells them out, until he doesn't need to take the land. It's handed to him. The message is clear. The attack won't come with guns. It'll come through banks, lawyers, family arguments, and patience. Back at the ranch, the cracks deepen. Margaret, who's tried for so long to hold things together, reaches a breaking point. She confronts John about the weight he's putting on their shoulders, about how they've become so focused on the land. They've forgotten to protect each other. Her voice is soft, but there's fury beneath it. She wants to leave. Take the kids, find peace somewhere else. And for a brief second, John considers it. But he can't, because for him, the land isn't just property, it's identity, it's duty, it's the only thing that's ever made sense. And that, in many ways, is the real tragedy of this episode. John isn't just fighting to protect Yellowstone from Blackwell or financial ruin. He's fighting to keep himself from disappearing, to prove that everything his family has suffered wasn't for nothing. Meanwhile, Spencer finds himself drawn into the mess despite his resistance. A confrontation with one of the ranch hands, someone who's been secretly feeding info to Blackwell, turns violent, and suddenly Spencer is forced to choose a side. He's not the man he used to be, but he still knows how to fight. And in that moment, something inside him reawakens. He might be broken, but he's not finished. This sparks a brutal moment of truth for the Duttons. They've been so busy watching the skies for bombs, they didn't see the rot forming beneath their own feet. And here's where episode 1 makes its biggest impact. It's not just about betrayal, it's about the kind of quiet collapse that doesn't happen with one big event, but through years of unspoken pain, suppressed fears, and small compromises, the kind that sneaks up on you until it's too late. The final minutes of this section deliver the emotional gut punch. A hidden letter is found, a farewell from a character who's decided they can't stay and fight anymore. It's a goodbye, not just to the ranch, but to the Dutton name itself. And when John reads it, his face says everything. The enemy may be outside their gates, but the real battle is happening within their hearts. In Section 5, we explore the aftermath of this emotional turning point. The ripple effects, the decisions made in the heat of pain, and the final cliffhanger that sets the stage for a war the Duttons may not survive. Let me know when you're ready for the final section. The final section of Yellowstone 1944 Episode 1 pushes the Duttons to the edge, where personal stakes collide with the raw, unyielding pursuit of survival. Here, everything they've fought for, their land, their family, their future, hangs in the balance as the war they never anticipated finally takes shape. It begins with the fallout from the letter. John Dutton II, his hands trembling, is still holding the page when the camera slowly zooms in. He reads it once more, as if trying to make sense of it. It's from one of his own, someone he trusted, and now that person is gone. Their departure leaving behind not just an emotional wound, but a strategic one. The Duttons are more fractured than they realize, and the consequences of these betrayals are beginning to unfold. John tries to hold the line. His resolve hardens. His decisions grow more cutting and final. He knows he can't afford weakness anymore. But the family is divided, Evelyn has already begun making moves on her own, quietly securing deals with outsiders and testing John's patience. She's convinced she's doing the right thing. But to John, she's nothing more than a threat. The episode captures their rising tension in the silence between them. The unsaid words speak louder than any argument ever could. As John's personal world continues to collapse, Walter Blackwell makes his move, unveiling a strategy that reveals just how deep his connection to the ranch runs. He's been playing a long game, far longer than anyone expected. Blackwell has secured several assets hidden behind proxies and front companies. His wealth, connections, and strategy make him an enemy unlike any John has ever faced. But his greatest weapon isn't money or land, it's patience. Walter, the seasoned war veteran, knows how to wait for the perfect moment to strike, and that moment is now. However, it's the Dutton women who emerge as the unsung heroes of this chapter. Margaret, in particular, begins to step into her power. The weight of John's silent decisions is breaking her, but she refuses to be a bystander. She starts gathering the women of the ranch, wives, daughters, even some of the ranch hands' partners, to create a network of support. They're no longer just caretakers, they're fighters. And as the men face their internal conflicts, the women form a quiet resistance. They don't take up arms, but they take control. They begin gathering intelligence, watching for any signs of Blackwell's influence or Evelyn's covert dealings. This leads to one of the most gripping moments of the episode. Margaret confronts Evelyn. Their conversation is raw, unfiltered, and tense. What began as a quiet disagreement between two strong-willed women becomes a battle for the soul of the Dutton family. Margaret's fear isn't just for the ranch, it's for what they've become, and she's not afraid to speak her mind. Her words, full of fire and regret, force Evelyn to make a choice: step fully into the world of power and deception, or remember the family she swore to protect. The clock is ticking. With every decision, the Duttons are running out of time to mend their relationships and safeguard their legacy. The land isn't just a patch of earth, it's the symbol of everything they've built. And the ultimate question looms larger. Will the Duttons hold on to the ranch, or lose everything they've ever known? The final moments of episode 1 leave us with an unshakable feeling of impending doom. Just as John Dutton II prepares for the inevitable fight, a quiet meeting unfolds. It's a clandestine conversation between Walter Blackwell and an unseen partner. The words exchanged are cryptic, but the meaning is clear. Blackwell isn't just after land. He's after something much more powerful: the Duttons' pride, their stubbornness, and their fear of change. That will be their undoing. John stands alone on a hill overlooking the ranch, the sprawling land that has defined his family for generations. The sky is heavy, thick with the weight of a storm that mirrors the one brewing within the family. For a moment, he allows himself to feel the weight of everything: